welcome to the Redmen TV. It is obviously the transfer news show. We do it every single day. And thankfully, I have quite some decent information for some of yous. Some of yous won't be happy though. I'm not happy with the later news in this entire show, but the early news I am quite happy with. And to kick us all off then, we spoke to David Lynch last night. Dan did, not me. But he had some really good things to say about Levi Colwill. Obviously, Levi played for Brighton last season on loan from Chelsea. In that season in the Premier League, he did rack up 13 games at centre-back and one as a left-back. He even played one as a left mid, which is a bit mad in the Premier League. But the reason that this is good is because I have hardly heard any news about Liverpool going for centre-backs. There was some stuff on Mickey van der Ven, I think it was. There was a couple of little pieces on potentially going for Ignacio from Sporting. But really, they were just whispers. Levi Colwill seems a bit more than that. And the reason it seems a bit more than that is because David Lynch has spoken and, well, he said that Liverpool have been in touch with Levi Colwill's agents and have spoken to them. But it all depends on Chelsea. I do have a lovely little clip from that to show you, first of all, before we break it all down. So here is that.
Absolutely love to. If there was even a hint of a possibility that it could make this work, I think Liverpool would do it because I think they really like him. He's homegrown. He fits the bill in so many ways. They would just love to. He would be the ideal sort of signing in that position, I think. It's a difficult one. You know, Brighton have already given up, haven't they? It looks like they're going to go for Calvin Bassey instead because they didn't get the impression they could get a deal over the line. But Liverpool have got a lot more money than Brighton and the ability to probably do a deal at a sort of bigger amount than Brighton were in for. So, you know, maybe gets to the point where if he says, I'm not going to sign a contract further down the line in this summer, he doesn't feel there are guarantees enough over his playing time, then maybe that sort of option opens up for Liverpool and they can really pursue it because they know there's been contact on the agent side. I think, you know, they're keeping tabs on him. You know, and it's, yeah, like I say, it's one that if they get even the slightest bit of encouragement that he could do a deal with Chelsea, I think they would pay a big fee for him.
Yes, so as you heard there then from the clip, Liverpool are interested in Levi Colwill. Brighton earlier in the transfer window did have a £40 million bid rejected because Chelsea do want to keep hold of their assets. However, they did offer Colwill a new signing. I don't want to say signing, it was a contract. They offered him a new contract, but he's not signed it. He's opted to stay away from that option. Maybe with Pochettino now at the helm, he might have the pulling power to make him sign it. But Colwill wants guaranteed game time. Will he get that at Chelsea? I am not too sure. We talk about how many centre-backs they've got. It's ridiculous. Fofana came back from an injury last season, looked quite decent when he did come back as well. They've got far too many centre-backs. They've got far too many players. They will have to start selling more and more players, and let's see where that gets us. Obviously, David Lynch there did mention a couple of quotes. I'll read them out. He said, if they think they have a chance, which is Liverpool, they'd love to sign Colwill. If there was even a hint of the possibility that they could make this work, I think Liverpool would do it. They really like him. He's homegrown. He fits the bill in so many ways. He would be the ideal signing in that position, I think. And here's where I want to get yous involved because he is homegrown, which makes it brilliant for us. I think we've got one space left to fill. If we sign a homegrown lad, then it opts to leave us another place to fill for whoever we do want to sign. But this is where I want to hear from you. Colwill he has played both left side and right side of centre-half, but he is a left-footed centre-back who's predominantly played on the left side of centre-half, which in this version would be the left side of a three with Virgil and Canate. And he's also played left-back 7 times in his career, if I'm correct. So at the young age of 20, he's got quite a lot of experience. I think he's got 85 times he's played at centre-back and 7 at left-back in his entire career. So he's got some experience there and Premier League experience as, last season as well. But would you rather us sign, sorry, I'm just hitting everything about, would you rather us sign a left-footed, left-sided centre-back, or do you think it's more important for us to sign a right-footed, right centre-back? I think we need both. I think if we can box one off this summer and potentially leave the next one until next summer, then Liverpool will try and do that. But it's great to see. I saw, a lot of people in the comments talking about Mickey van der Ven and Ignacio. It looks like Mickey van der Ven might be off to Spurs. has completely and utterly gone dead, to be honest, all the links there. And Nashio is another lad, but he's not English. He doesn't fit the homegrown quota. So this is why this signing looks brilliant. And I know in that clip there, David Lynch did say it was, going to be quite a struggle for Liverpool to get it over the line with him being at Chelsea and Chelsea not wanting to sell him. But what we've got to look at is later on in this transfer window, the more pressure that's put on Chelsea, the more they need to sell, the more they might be inclined to say, okay, Colwill won't sign a new deal. He wants guaranteed game time. He's our biggest asset that we can potentially sell here. Then, yeah, we're going to have to sell him. And look, they've sold Kai Havertz to Arsenal. They've sold big players already to players who are rivaling them. It seems like one way we're going to have to wait. If Brighton couldn't get him for 40, it seems you're at least at the £50 mark. £50, I wish. 50 mil mark, which, if for a young lad is quite a lot, but he's English, so you're going to get the English tax on it. And everyone knows Liverpool are dying for a centre-back. But maybe, just maybe, like David Lynch says here, maybe if it gets to the point where he says, I'm not signing a contract further down the line this summer, he doesn't feel like there are guarantees enough over how much he gets to play. Maybe that option opens up for Liverpool and he can really pursue it, which is the big point here. If he has the ability, like 2-3 weeks time, to sit here and say, Chelsea, you're not going to give me guaranteed game time, I want to leave, I'm pushing myself out the door, I'm not signing a new contract, and then Liverpool already on the scene, they're already made aware of it, and Chelsea are also stuck where they have to continue selling players. They wanted Ziyech off the wage bill, they wanted him gone, they haven't been able to do that so far because he apparently didn't pass a medical. So maybe it does get to that stage. It feels like something that we're going to have to wait for. But the positive point of all of this is that he said, I know there's been contact on the agent side. They're keeping tabs on him. It's one that if they get even the slightest bit of encouragement, they could do a deal with Chelsea. They will pay a fee for him. So it looks like, where we're sat here saying 50 mil. I don't know about you, I think 50 mil is quite a lot of money for a 20-year-old centre-back. I do. He's played one season in the Premier League, 13 games. He looked good, don't get me wrong, but still doing that on a consistent level, at the level that Liverpool need you to be at if you want to win trophies. There's still a lot around that. 50 mil seems a lot of money, but David Lynch says Liverpool are willing to pay it. It's all about getting the encouragement from Chelsea, and that goes back to the point that we've all said, is we need to see where they are in several weeks' time. If they're still in a position where they need to continue selling players, if they're in a position where Colwill has tried to force a move. But it is positive talks, at least. It's someone that we are keeping tabs on. And Nacho and Mickey van der Ven, there was hardly anything out of this. This is extremely believable, especially with the homegrown quota. We've just seen that we've went from apparently Thuram to all the way to Lavia because of this homegrown situation. Getting him there might actually mean that Lavia then doesn't become the player that we're after. If somehow Liverpool get Colwill, it might be a case of there's your homegrown player, now we can go and sign someone else who we won't sign Thuram, but someone of a different nationality who Liverpool have higher up the pecking order. The problem we do have here is that, Levi Colwill, 50 mil seems a lot of money. Let's see what some of your thoughts are on it then. Mickey to Spurs says, Denzel, yeah, that does look, like that's going to happen. Brian has said, surely there are plenty of centre-backs out there who are good. And what our scouts are doing, remember when we signed Sammy Hippier 2.5? I was a kid, a little baby. So I remember Sammy Hippier. Do I remember signing him? Probably not. But yeah, look, they probably are. I'm seeing Timber going for, is it around 30-35 mil to Arsenal? What an absolute, that's incredible business if they get that over the line from Ajax. He looks really, really good. And 30 mil is ridiculous. But once again, we come back to this thing of homegrown. It's quite a problem. it doesn't seem as big of a problem because there are targets there who we're trying to identify. It's not the be all and end all, but it's something that Liverpool would like to bring in some English players. Obviously, Lavia is Belgian, but if he is in your academy for 2 years below a certain age, he then becomes homegrown. So this is why we're being linked with these two. I think he's a good player. Nigel over here saying Chloe would make a fantastic negotiator. I wouldn't at all, because I'd literally not go over the price that I'd want. I wouldn't have got Slobosly. In fact, I would. I'd have outright paid for him, but I would not be paying 50 million for Levi Colwill, and I would not be paying 50 million for Lavia. So I don't think I would be good, to be honest. Not a damn chance Chelsea sell. Look, who knows where Chelsea are going to be? I don't think they're going to sell. But also, look at the centre-backs they've got. You know, it's ridiculous. They've still got Thiago there, who's 36, and by Thiago, not our Thiago Silva. Fofana, they've spent... That lad who they did sign, who was really good, begins with B, but can't say his name and do not want to get it wrong. They've got quite a lot of centre-backs, to be honest, and they need to flog players still. Although we've seen quite a couple go to the Saudi League, they need to sell quite a couple more. They've spent quite a lot of money. They can take a hike for 50 mil, exactly. I think 50 mil is a large asking price, but also, we've got to come back to this, he's homegrown, he's going to have some sort of tax. David Lynch believes that Liverpool are willing to pay a big fee for him. So maybe it is a case that Liverpool will pay the bigger fee for a lad who's English to then go and try and negotiate a smaller fee for a player who's potentially not English, who we can then sign on the back of signing Colwill. There's also the thing of Liverpool spent 35 million on McAllister, which is unbelievable business, to then be able to go and spend 60 on Slobosly. 50 seems a lot of money. Ollie Red has said transfer fees are higher now. I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? You can't just go and get Sammy Appiah for 2.5 anymore. They don't exist. The only people who do that are Brighton, and that's because Brighton seem to find gems from nowhere. They are ridiculous. John has said no chance we get him for 50, more like 65 to 70. I don't think they'd go that high, because I don't think they'd be able to get anyone willing to pay. It all comes down to, this is one that Liverpool are going to have to wait for. We've had talks with Colwill's agent. They've been positive talks, but it all depends on Chelsea's stance. Chelsea need to flog players still. They do. And if no one comes in for their assets within the next 2 to 3 weeks, you know, up until when the season starts, they might be in a pressured situation where they do have to let players go. It also, with that Mason Mount situation that's just happened, it seems like a couple of their players are not happy, especially the academy players. So who knows? Let's see what happens there. But, you know, who knows? It is a case of waiting on Chelsea, but we will be informed if anything does change. And at least it's encouraging. Look, you know, it's the most. It's the player that's fitted the most this summer in terms of centre-backs. Ignacio fitted for the price, but he wasn't homegrown, and we need to sort that quota. Mickey van der Ven was just, he looked fast, and he now seems to be getting to Spurs. So I can believe this link. This link seems, you know, really, really good. What's 2.5 with 25? What's 2.5 million from 25 years ago with inflation? It's a lot of money. It's probably about 80 mil. Let's see. Ryan said Bajcetic is better as the 8. Hendo isn't good enough at DM, and Morton is too young. I think we're talking about TDMs. I'll get onto that in a minute. Don't you worry. I'll talk about TDMs now. But, you know, we've all heard about Lavia. Colwill, this in the last 24 hours, has became decent news. But yeah, Bajcetic I do like as a CDM. He's not going to be an out-and-out CDM because you've got Fabinho. You'll have Trent sitting next to Fabinho. And then you'll probably have Slobosly and McAllister, which therefore means Henderson's becoming Milner. That is what Henderson should be doing this season. So I wouldn't worry about Henderson being DM. He might be the DM in a Europa League group stage where we've rotated the team. He won't. I really, really doubt that he'd be out now CDM alongside Trent here in that inverted right back. If Tim was that good, don't you think Agent VVD would have had a word with the boss? It's not how it works. It's not always how that works. We identified Gakpo first and told Virgil to go and get Cody Gakpo. It's not how it works. Sometimes Timber, he just might not be exactly what Liverpool want. He looks brilliant as a signing for Arsenal. But if you think that a player is going to walk into the office of Jurgen Klopp and tell Jurgen Klopp who he should be signing, no. Jurgen Klopp's too big of a person to do that. You'd probably get sent packing if you tried to do that, to be honest. I really don't. I don't think Jurgen Klopp would take, that kindly. But anyway, moving on from that then, I mean, there is a couple of people here saying Colwill, Lavia for 50 mil. Each is insane. Casado was rated at 50 mil last summer and now everyone is crying that we didn't sign him. Transfer fees are inflated. We need to keep up. And I think we are keeping up. Look, we've signed 2 players at the moment. Do I want more? Absolutely. I want another midfielder and I want another centre-back minimum. That is what I expect. But there is still a large part of the transfer window to go. I know Liverpool wanted to get the players in before pre-season started, but that's not always how it works. You have to, things change the closer it gets to deadline day. That's just how it is. People become more pressured. Players put more pressure on clubs to leave. So, we will soon see, hopefully. But the homegrown talent, the fact that he's had Premier League experience, he's of a good age, the age category that Liverpool are looking for. He's a left-footed centre-half, which Liverpool seriously need. It all makes a lot of sense. Let's say Grey Soul over here has said, I prefer we sign Ignacio first before the third midfielder. I think Liverpool will be looking to sign a defender before a midfielder, to be perfectly honest with you. I believe that. And the reason I believe that is because we'll get on to James Pearce in a minute. I like Ignacio, I do, but I think to get Ignacio, we'd have to sign Lavia as the homegrown talent. So this homegrown talent stuff is actually a little bit of a problem. Sorry, Colwill and Lavia for 50 million each is insane. Exactly. I totally 100% agree with you. I've got no idea what's going on. In fact, I will go on to Lavia in a second. 50 mil is ludicrous. Southampton are not going to get 50 mil for Lavia. They're just not. There's no club that's going to come in and do that. And if they are, well, fair play to them. It shouldn't be Liverpool. It shouldn't be Liverpool for 50 mil for a 19-year-old. It just shouldn't. But I once again think that Southampton will have to bring the cost down. They might not even sell him. They don't sell him. Liverpool will have to target someone else. But if they want to sell Lavia, if they need to sell Lavia, if Lavia is trying to leave the club, they will not be getting 50 mil. I think they'll bring down their estimations, to be honest, because Liverpool will not be paying that. It is ridiculous. I agree with everyone. But also, I can understand why Liverpool are looking at them. I can understand with the homegrown situation. Ayaz has said, what are the homegrown guidelines about, obviously, homegrown talent? I think it is, and people can correct me in the comments, people probably will know more in the comments. So Lavia is Belgium, but if he comes in before, I think it's 19 and under, if he literally comes into your academy, if you play him and if he's there for 2 years, he then becomes a homegrown talent. It's before a certain age, and I think it's 2 years, and in 2 years that's your homegrown talent. So that's the problem with that. I think we've only got one space left. And if we brought in a homegrown player, it'd mean we'd get an extra space. So we've got one space left for an international player. So if we sign Ignacio, we'd then have to get rid of someone to bring someone else in who wasn't English. If you sign an English player, so if we signed Lavia, you could then also go and get Ignacio without having to get rid of players. I think that's what it is. And I think that's why we're now looking at these players and why ultimately there's going to be English tax on them. John said we'll get Lavia for 30, 35. That is more reasonable. That's what I think. I'm pretty sure Neil Jones sat in this seat a couple of days ago and said you're looking more at 30 to 35 for Lavia, and he believes that Southampton would come down to that asking price. But, we'll see what happens. I've just seen someone say, this is going to sound crazy, could we go for Tchouaméni or Valverde? if Real buy Mbappe. No. Both of those players, I mean, Tchouaméni's probably still going to be at 70 min. And Valverde, I'd rather Valverde over Jude Bellingham. I absolutely adore Valverde. He's too much money. They would not sell him to us. And I haven't heard them signing Mbappe, so sorry about that one. Really, really am sorry about absolutely tearing that to pieces for you. We've got a $4.99 super chat. McAllister World Cup winner, 35 million. Lavia relegated teenager, 50 million. Let's get real. I get what you mean. There was a slight difference though in that McAllister deal. Brighton would have got rid of McAllister this summer without getting paid anything. McAllister wanted to leave. He knew that he'd get and attract big offers. People had been talking to his agents for months on end. They signed a contract with him before that World Cup with a release clause in for 35 million. They put it in place because McAllister was going to go for free and they did not want to lose McAllister for free. He wouldn't have signed a new contract because he'd have got offers from Liverpool, probably City, probably Chelsea, and loads of other teams. So it's slightly different there because McAllister had it written in his contract that he could go if someone triggered a 35 million release clause. The reason it was that low of a release clause was because he literally was going to go for a free anyway. If they'd have said 50 to 60, he'd have been like, nah, I won't sign this contract because I'll just go for free instead. Instead, he signed it for 35, which meant that they both got positives. McAllister got his move, but Brighton also got some money. So it's slightly different, but I get what you mean. Lavia is not worth 50 million. Do not worry. I would not think that Liverpool are going to go in for him for 50 million. It sounds absolutely ludicrous. Anyway, moving on then. We'll come back to this. I'll do a little poll for you. Everyone loves a poll up in this gaff. Moving on, James Pearce has destroyed my hopes and dreams. Because he's poor, and I totally understand why, but I'm still upset. Nice's Kefren Turam is no longer viewed as a target with Liverpool, having ultimately decided that Szoboszlai was the best option, given his greater versatility, experience and skill set. Now, I can understand. I get it. Am I still slightly heartbroken? Absolutely. Turam at 6'4", box-to-box midfielder who had started his career as a CDM. I am absolutely smashing through players. I absolutely love the idea of Kefren Turam being in my midfield. I wanted him at Liverpool. I understand why. I assume, is the reason he was picked to go as our number 8 on the right-hand side, which is, would have been Jordan Henderson's role. Now, I think at some point we got a drift that I think Szoboszlai was most definitely on our list. I think he was up here. I think Kefren Turam was here. I think we thought we'd get Kefren Turam for a decent amount of money and that it had been harder to get Szoboszlai. Then we found out about his release clause. And we found out that FSG would be willing to pay the money. We would be willing to do a deal with them and trigger the release clause. And therefore, all of a sudden, we went for Szoboszlai instead. Can totally understand why. He can play right side of centre mid. He can do the attacking role. He can do the sitting centre. Well, he can't do sitting. He can do centre mid, but be a bit more, defensive than attacking minded. He can do right wing, left wing, centre forward. He can do it all. So I totally get why. But I don't know about you. But Kefren Turam looked like an absolute unit in midfield. And I was really excited when we were being linked with him. And now it sadly is a case that it looks like we are no longer going for him. And, James Pearce is the one that I'm reading it from, but there's been quite a lot of other journalists who've also said this. And it makes sense because he was our number 8 that we were going for on the right-hand side to replace Jordan Henderson. And instead we've gone for a better, more versatile player who's had more experience and played in the Bundesliga, which people link, the football a bit closer to what Premier League football is. So I can totally get it, but I am heartbroken. I don't know about you. But I can get it. I understand it. We've signed Szoboszlai. I'm very, very happy with it. But yeah, that brings me on to what I'm about to talk about though, because talking about midfielders, we all sit here and I said we need 3 midfielders this summer and I'm still on that case. We've signed 2, we need another one at least. And Liverpool, this is the breaking news of James Pearce, Liverpool won't sign a third midfielder unless they sell a midfielder and get them out the club. He goes on to say in his article, Liverpool could yet move for a young centre-back if the right option became available, but they won't pursue a midfielder unless one of the current crop leaves. A bit of sad news. If you include Trent Alexander-Arnold, which I will not include, but for the sake of the piece they have, who finished last season in a hybrid role, Klopp currently has 9 senior midfield options. Obviously, McAllister, now Szoboszlai, Jordan Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago, Stefan Bajcetic, Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott, and they've included Trent. I would not include Trent. He's a right-back. He's playing inverted, but he can only become a centre-mid when he's also not playing right back for me. He has to do a bit of both in game, and therefore I'm not classing him as our midfielder. I'm just not. If we ever change formation, if we ever, change tactics, if someone ever gets injured, he will still have to play right back. So in my mind, we've only got 8 midfielders, but for the sake of this, I'll let them have Trent. He goes on to say that the situation remains unclear. Thiago has attracted serious interest from Saudi Arabia and has already turned down one lucrative offer. I think I read from Fabrizio Romano that was in May. He got offered a contract from Saudi Arabia in May. However, he currently intends to stay put for the final year of his contract. Now's here where I'd like to hear from you. I would get rid of Thiago now. I think Liverpool haven't been ruthless enough in years gone by, which is why Oxlade-Chamberlain, Naby Keita, James Milner, they all went on frees. All of them went on frees. You're going to have Thiago going on a free next year. I would literally say to the lad, look, we've had a lovely time together. You're an incredible footballer, probably our best and most technical midfielder when you're at the top of your game, but you are far too inconsistent due to your injuries. You just are. I'd tell him that he doesn't. For me, McAllister goes above him on this side. Szoboszlai goes above him on that side. For me, Thiago is one where you're going to get a decent amount of money if Saudi Arabian clubs do want him. He's probably going to be your biggest asset. And if that means, A, we're getting money to reinvest, and B, that we can bring in another midfielder, I would, because you're getting nothing for him next year when he goes for a free. He's just had an operation, has he not? Because, they were in Spain, weren't they, towards the end of last season? He was on crutches. He's too injury prone, and maybe us signing these midfielders means there's less pressure on him to play game in, game out. But for me, that's 25 mil that you could earn here that you're going to get nothing for next season. So I really would try and see if we could sell Thiago. James in the chat is saying sell Thiago. Haven't got a clue, which I really, really do like. That's a really good name. Do you call your fantasy team on Premier League that? Because that's a great one. Sell Thiago as a matter of urgency, sorry. No, I agree. I absolutely adore the man. I think he's an unbelievable footballer. One of the best technical players to ever play for Liverpool, 100%. Watching him glide on a football pitch is unbelievable. But Liverpool have not been ruthless enough in the past, and they need to start doing it. They need to get money back in the club to reinvest it again. And here is a player who will not be here. Liverpool will not offer him a new contract. I do not see that happening. He's far too injury prone for us to give him another year, another 2 years, another 3 years. So you will get nothing for him at the end of next season. I would tell him that I'd literally tell him, we really want the money, we'd love you to go. And I'd try and make that as do it in a nice way, of course, but you've also got to be ruthless and just say you've got no plans. You're second, third choice in all positions. Spirit has said sell Thiago now, get some money in and save on wages. Wages is another factor. If we bring in Lavia or if we bring in Colwill, or I'm not going to say Turan because we're not going to bring them in, but another midfielder, they're not going to be on the wages that Thiago is. Thiago is one of the greatest footballers of our generation in terms of midfielder. He's incredible. What he did at Bayern Munich, Barcelona, brilliant. But he is of an age now where he's into his 30s, he doesn't play often enough for us, and it's a good chunk of change we could get for him. And it makes perfect sense for him to go to Saudi Arabia. He can earn all the money he wants. They're trying to build a really, massive project over there, and getting a world superstar like Thiago is going to be something that they'd be up to. And, if he's already turned one offer down, surely there's more people who are interested in him. There is another player, obviously, who has been linked with Saudi Arabia recently, and that is Henderson. He's also been linked with a move to Saudi following the appointment of Gerrard, who obviously has become a manager over there. But there's no approach so far, and Liverpool do not expect to lose their long-serving captain. I would rather sell Thiago than Henderson, because Henderson's homegrown, which is a massive factor right now. But also on top of that, you're not going to get as much money for Henderson as you would for Thiago. You're just not. It's not a bigger name in football, in world football. Spirit said Thiago is a luxury. Exactly. He's the player that if you wanted him to just play, once every 3, 4, 5 games, and you just brought him on, 20 minutes to go against, I don't know, Luton Town, Thiago, just come and have a little wander in someone's back garden for 20. That is what Thiago will be next year. Because McAllister's already above him for me. Curtis Jones has got something to say about it from last season. He is a luxury. He's not going to play every day. And if you can get 30 million for him, I would. D. Rose has said sell Henderson. I'm on the opposite side. I think we should sell Thiago. I think he's not homegrown. He's much more money. He just will be. He's probably on a higher wage bill, I would imagine. Henderson's also your captain. He also does a lot off the pitch. He becomes your Milner. That is what Henderson does. So I'm fine with him becoming that. But, someone said Clubbe the Savage. It's just truth. He's got 1 year left on his contract. You're going to get nothing for him next season. If there is a chance that someone comes in and puts a really decent bid for Thiago in, I would be accepting it. He's an unbelievable footballer. But I just would. People are talking about how Thiago offers more on the pitch than Henderson. I'd argue that he's available less than Henderson, therefore he doesn't give more. Technically, yeah, but he's hardly available. Hardly available. Love the lad. But, I'm not too sure. The problem with selling Hendo is he's also homegrown. He's your captain. What goes on there? He's also got more years on his contract. Thiago's gone in a year. But yeah, I can totally understand. I agree with Henderson potentially being a move. Maybe next year, maybe a couple of years down the line. I'm not sure Liverpool would be willing to get rid of him right now. I think they'd be more. I think they're open, to be honest, to get rid of Thiago, and not in a rude way. I absolutely love the lad, but we need money. James Pearce is saying we need to sell someone before we bring a third midfielder in. I want a third midfielder. I want someone who's going to sign on a 5-year contract, who's going to be probably 20, 21, 22, and has got the future with us. Thiago doesn't after this year, which is why I can see, I think that is more likely than Henderson going. He's going to get you more money, which is what Liverpool probably needs if someone's slapping 50 million on Colwill and Lavia, to be honest. Anyway, back to this piece. I'll get back to your thoughts in a minute. I'll do a lovely little poll as well, because we all love a poll. Since wrapping up the signing of Szoboszlai, there's been ground speculation that Liverpool will turn their attention to Southampton's Romeo Lavia. He is admired, but as things stand, they are not pursuing the Belgian defensive midfielder. They do not believe they have a gap to fill currently, which comes back to this squad thing. One of the midfielders is going to have to get shipped off, sadly, for this lad to come in, or any other player to come in. He is a Belgium defensive midfielder. We need a CDM. We do. Who I'd give Fabinho another year, but I don't know how good he's going to be. I just don't. I don't know where Stefan Bajcetic is in terms of getting back to fitness. It was quite a big injury for him to have. And Bajcetic can also play the 8. He's versatile. So, there is this case, but Liverpool do not believe that we have A, space to put him in, but B, that we're going to be spending 50 mil. They do not believe the asking price of 50 million is all right. They think it's far too high. And like we mentioned, Stefan Bajcetic there, this Lavia has only had 17 more senior appearances in his career than Bajcetic. 50 million is someone on crack. Yeah. I'm very much of the fact that Liverpool are going to have to sell a midfielder to bring someone in. Who that is, I'm not sure. It might be a case if they get rid of Matip and Nat Phillips, and that maybe does it. And we have the luxury of having another midfielder in Thiago. But it is a case of, you know, we are keeping tabs on Lavia. We're most definitely not going to spend 50 mil, and if we are, something's gone wrong. This Colwill situation, you know, these two players that were being linked with, Colwill and Lavia, it feels like we're going to have to wait a little bit longer to see what happens in the transfer window, whether both Southampton and Chelsea get pressurised to sell players, whether the two players try and force a move at any point, because 50 mil each for them two is ludicrous, absolutely outrageous. But let's see. I do think we need a CDM, and I'll put it to use as well. I think Liverpool need a centre-back, whether it be left-sided, left-footed, or right-sided, right-footed. They need both. I think maybe the left side needs to be done first, for the main fact of, if you keep Matip and Gomez, then if Konate does get injured, I think Konate's brilliant, but I think he will get injured. That just is what will happen, probably second game of the season. If that happens, you've got Joe Gomez and Matip already there, unless we sell one of them. On the left-hand side, you've got Robertson, and if there's no Robertson, there's nobody, and Robertson's not even a centre-back, he's a left-back who we're moulding into this, because Costas defensively isn't good enough to do that role. So maybe left-back is more important. I don't know about you. Someone's put, would you sell Fabinho, Chloe? Is he past his best? I don't know. I think we'll find that out this season. Last season, he was all over the shop. Horrific season, let's be honest. But also, the entire system that we had was crap. The players on the pitch that we had were crap. I mean, our midfield was chasing shadows half the time. With this new midfield, with the new box system that we have, with the three at the back, obviously when the inverted right back goes in with Trent, you have three at the back. Maybe he'll have more cover. He won't have to be absolutely all over the gaff trying to save people. And therefore, maybe he might be back to his best. I'm not too sure. I think he gets another season. And if not, I think Liverpool look to move him on. But I think we'll find that all out next season, to be honest. Someone's just put Jota to Celtic. What? Where is this came from? By the way, the Jota from Celtic, who's gone to Saudi Arabia, can we rob his song now? Because that song is incredible. Don't care what anyone says. I absolutely love that song. And would love. I mean, Jota's already got a bar 3, so he doesn't need a 4th, but I do like it. How is 50 million for Colwill a mad price? He's 19, had the full season in the Prem and will be good for 10 plus years. Because he's 19 and he's had 13 games in Prem. That's about it. 13 games as a centre-back for Brighton. Brighton are brilliant, but they're not on the level of winning titles, which is where Liverpool need to be. 50 million for a 19-year-old is ludicrous. If you don't think that, I don't know what else I can say. We got 35, for McAllister, 60 for Slobosly. 50 mil for a 19-year-old is a lot of money. That is just the way it goes nowadays. Timber is going to Arsenal for 30 to 35. It is a lot of money for a 19-year-old who's played 13 senior games at centre-back for the Premier League side. And bear in mind, he was on the bench for a lot. He didn't outstart for Brighton. He was on the bench for a lot of them as well. So let's see. Gomez should be the backup right back, not centre back. I agree, and I think that's why you keep him, because he can do. I think that's why we'd sell Matip more than we'd sell Gomez, because he's there for cover for centre back if needed, but also covered for right back. He was once a good centre-back. Who knows if he'll ever reach that height again? I'm not too sure. But we'll see. Someone said, is the Lavia deal off? It's not off. We're still in talks with his representatives, his agents and stuff. But Liverpool apparently will not be signing a third midfielder until they sell someone. So who knows? Someone's asked, Chloe, would you sell Thiago and Tyler Morton? Tyler Morton, I'd probably give him another season on loan. I'm not too sure where he is. Maybe another loan. He was at Blackburn, if I've got that correct. He did quite well for them. I don't think he's ready yet for the Prem, which is probably why we're looking at signing other players. I would sell Thiago if a decent bid came in. I would. Love the lad, but I would try and get something from him. But, Tyler Morton, I'm not too sure is there yet. But anyway, that is the thing. English tax, yes. English tax is the reason why he's 50 mil. If he was playing for other nationalities, he wouldn't be 50 mil is the other big thing. So that's why 50 mil seems outrageous, because he's an English lad as well. Bellingham 120, yeah, when you put it like that, Bellingham was only 120 mil, guys. This lad's 50. No, I'm joking. Redmen TV, Colwill, or Inacio, and why? I like Inacio for whatever reason. I don't know why. Not seen much of him. I've seen him playing for the Champions League for Sporting, and I do enjoy watching the Portuguese league from time to time. I'd go Colwill just for the fact that he's English. It opens up another spot to get someone else. However, if we could get him for around the price that we'd be getting Inacio at, I'd appreciate it. 50 million seems like a lot. Liverpool potentially could do that. Like I mentioned earlier, David Lynch said Liverpool would be willing to do that, but it all depends on, where Chelsea stand. Anyway, one last thing to finally round us off. Do a poll for me, please. Aaron. So I'm going to go with, how do I do this? Would you sell Thiago? Yes or no? That's my first poll. How many can we have up at one time? Only one? Okay, get in your comments if you'd sell Thiago. If, say, Saudi Arabia came and slotted 25 mil on the table, would you sell Thiago right now? Get your votes in. Anyway, to round us off, let's lastly look at this lovely little thing. Sadio Mane, you remember that lad played for Liverpool quite a little while back. Did move to Bayern Munich, and his entire career became to a standstill. Fabrizio Romano has said, understand Saudi clubs are pushing to sign Mane from Bayern. Where Firmino has just gone to, that is the club, and I'm not going to read it. It might come up on screen. There we go. The club that Roberto Firmino is at is insisting that they want Sadio Mane to reunite, obviously, the two Liverpool legends. There's also interest from other clubs, but still waiting to hear from players' intention. The reason he left Liverpool to go to Bayern was to have a new challenge, but also to play at the top level. I'm not sure you'll be at the top level in Saudi Arabia, but saying that, he'll be back with his best mate Roberto Firmino. They can continue copying each other's celebrations, and also, let's be honest, his time at Bayern Munich has been absolutely shambolic. I've got no idea what happened to the lad. It's like his legs fell off. It was literally like Liverpool last season. Legs just fell off. Florian Plettenberg also has said Sadio Mane is expected to leave Bayern Munich in the summer. Bayern waiting for concrete offers. It is very much clear that Bayern do not want Sadio Mane anymore. He's on the list of Saudi League, as reported weeks ago. No official offers have been put in from the Saudi clubs yet, but first talks and approaches have taken place. It is in the early stages. So who knows, you might get to see Sadio Mane and Firmino continue to do each other's celebrations for a long, long time now. Have we got any results for the lovely little 70% says sell? Same, I am with the 70% of people. I 100% would be. Someone said sell Robbo, are you mad? I'm not selling Robbo. Who's selling Robbo? Someone in the chat selling Robbo. I'm not. I just think he's a left back that would make shifting to play at centre back. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. This was supposed to be 30 minutes and it's been 43 just because we've had a lovely little chat. Nice one for joining us. By the way, if you want to get that entire video that we did with David Lynch, amongst other things that we have on there, there's loads of stuff on Slobbersly. We've got even more stuff coming out as well. Do head over to Redmen Plus, and I've got a lovely little code for you. If you sign up as a Captain Yearly subscriber and use the code Bobby, BOBBY in all capitals, you'll get 50% off a year subscription, meaning you'll get the rest of this transfer window, you'll get the start of pre-season, all of pre-season, all of this season's games. You'll even get the January transfer window. You'll get most of the summer window. And you'll also get the Bobby Firmino Best in the World documentary, which all three parts are available on Redmen Plus. So do it, head over, sign up and join. But that's been all from me. Thank you so much for joining us, and up the Reds.
So pre-season is just around the corner for the mighty Reds, but if you want to spend your days, weeks and hours celebrating a Liverpool legend, then check out Bobby Firmino, Best in the World, our 3-part documentary series, episodes 2 and 3 exclusively streaming on redmenplus.com right now, with full interviews from so many of our amazing contributors, including the Liverpool skipper Jordan Henderson, the greatest goal scorer the club's ever seen, Ian Rush, and a hell of a lot more right now. Go to redmenplus.com. All episodes of Bobby Firmino, Best in the World, streaming today.